I think it's profound how common it is for Westerners to misperceive what is going on in the continent.
The expectation that African music sounds very tribal and has all these sounds that are not in contemporary urban music is ridiculous.
People have this perception that for African music it's going to be a guitar and it's going to be Congo drums, it's going to be German. Like, that's not African music. African music is simply made by Africans. Whatever they make, it's still going to be African music because I'm from Africa.
Nairobi to me means mass culture, like it's a melting pot.
Not just for the country that has about 48 different tribes, but the world meets here. It's like the hub for East Africa.
It has the craziest ambience. Like here you feel both like the uptown vibe and you also feel the street vibe. It's a hustling town. Everybody's always doing something.
It's just that place that is inviting and welcoming and warm and kind of just grabs you and doesn't want to let you go.
The best description for Kenyan music is eclectic.
There's no one sound that sort of encompasses us all.
We have about 48 tribes, and each of those sort of has a musical style. If you go to the coast, you'll find Taarab, which is Arab and Swahili influenced. Come slightly into the middle of Kenya, then you find the benga belt. We throw in the Indians there, and so you find everybody has their own little thing.
We don't have something that was passed down whole because of the history of this country. It was a settler colony.
We were educated by the British, basically. So we weren't taught Kenyan history.
A lot of our own essence was destroyed.
And even just finding music from back in the day, it's really, really difficult.
We don't have like Kenyan music. It's not like Tanzania where there's one style of music. And you go to Nigeria, is one style of music, which for me is a good thing because everybody can do their own thing.
We're almost like forming our new thing in Nairobi right now.
We just want to make music, and it's Kenyan because we're Kenyan.
The sound of Nairobi is really, I don't know, it's dope. I would say it sounds good. I don't know if it's Afro, I don't know if it's hip hop, I don't know if it's genge. I just know right now the sound of Nairobi is dope.
The music scene in Nairobi now is just popping. It's buzzing.
Everybody's like, he's a photographer, he's a singer, he's a rapper, he's a dancer.
The whole new Nairobi movement is just basically the whole boldness of it.
So we have EA Wave literally creating their own form of like R&B and experimental. Tempo, just going into the techno scene.
Tetushani with his guitar is going to work with Jinku of EA Wave. They're completely different artists, but they'll still come together to make something.
In this new Nairobi scene, collaboration is the ethos. It's about community, it's about just sharing the small resources you have.
We're all helping each other out, all these crews. Everyone's very supportive. We always go to each other's events just to make sure that we're pushing forward.
There are so many good people here in Nairobi that have taken it upon themselves to grow the culture around them.
Nairobi for me has become the meeting point for the most amazing people.
And that's made possible by places like The Alchemist.
The Alchemist Bar is a cultural hub, a snapshot of food, fashion, music, and art here in Nairobi.
And that has made actually a very big difference in the scene, because it's at least given people who have a like mind a space to interact and push each other too.
At the end of the day, the bigger picture is we're doing it for the scene.
The breadth of musical types that have been shown here has been astounding as well. From, I'd say Swahili rap, Swahili trap to You know, Swahili jazz, Afro jazz, trap grime, Jack Rooster, or the Afro house kind of vibe.
Just the fact that you can have an idea and go to the Alchemist and they'll be like, yeah, sure, you can do this. It's a whole new Nairobi.
You know, Nairobi is a party city. You know, kids in the city, we love to turn up. And Kenya is a party country, you know. I don't know about other African countries, but I know we turn up in Kenya.
Nairobi nightlife is hands down, to me, the craziest nightlife I've ever experienced.
One thing I will say about Nairobi is people dance really late. It's a plan from midnight till 5 a.m. They're not gonna stop moving. It's exhausting to watch sometimes.
We're finding an identity as Kenya and as East Africa.
We're looking at what is a contemporary East African live sound. You can see a lot of fusion between folk, reggae, hip hop, spoken word. Then there's also a lot of funk fusion coming through and a lot of percussive elements to that. But then of course you have a lot of house and techno DJs working on their own sound.
The rhythms and interrhythms that Kenyans have just blew my mind. Like using Kenyan drums and using interrhythms, using the scales that Kenyans use.
We just decided to bring all those global world influences and like bring them to Nairobi, but within our own interpretation of them.
Fusing all of that, I think it really has an impact on dance floors here when you play stuff like that. And you can see it in the crowd and you can feel it.
Globally, you know, trap music, hip hop music is, you know, #1. And in Kenya, it's not #1, but it's on the way.
I might get a chicken special on some diamonds. I'm not talking if it's not up for discussion. If she got trees, we take a life for it. Top floor to the top.
Kenyan hip-hop culture, I would say like right at the heart of it is this matatu culture. It's like loud music, bright lights in there, and like paintings of like Notorious B.I.G.
Because it's in the East where you find the matatu culture, and the music that speaks the language of the city always originates from the East side. Sheng and the real street life.
Trap is Sheng, rap and popular music. Like Sheng is like a slang in Nairobi. So when you mix it with rap or any popular music, it's trap.
Saina saka maganji, skambash bila magic. Manze na mix na makali. She got me high in the bando. Odwaranya me gotieno.
In Kenyan music, there's a lot of division and class.
So the uptown guys don't tend to mix with the downtown guys. For us even to grow as a country itself, you know, that distinction needs to stop, you know.
You guys are actually meeting right now, so the movement is beginning. I believe we shouldn't be fighting against ourselves.
There's this ego that just needs to be let go of from both sides. There's this whole new Nairobi perception of like, I'm better than, you know. I know about native instruments machine. There's also this side of, you can't speak Sheng. How can you tell me a story about Nyege? You haven't even left Lavington.
People complain like if someone raps in English on the song, but it's like on the radio, that's all they play. People rapping in English, but you're fine with that, but it's a problem when I make it.
I feel that with New Nairobi, it's serving the purpose of connecting the world to Kenya. But it's the rest, it's the other guy. They're the ones that connect Kenya to the world. They're the ones who are actually bringing forward the Kenyan narrative.
Right now we need to come together as new Nairobi artists.
These two worlds, as soon as they begin to like mesh, is when I think we'll begin creating this Kenyan sound that is so, it's so elusive right now.
Hey, yeah. Know when you got T-Rise back on that shit, know we strapping all day. Shit, Andre, Jai family nigga. Yeah, hey, look at the grind get lit. When I pull up with a team, got me sidewalk, hey, got me on my Billie Jean.
As much as people say that there's no Kenyan sound, I think there is. The hecticness of Nairobi kind of does go into the music.
Nairobi, it's crazy, man. There, like it taught me like to be a hustler.
Everyone's a boss in Nairobi. Whether it's the guy who's selling sugar cane in his little barrel, he's a boss. He's out there with his sugar cane. He's gonna cut that cane. The hardest part is just learning the tricks and the trades to Nairobi, because this place can eat you up and spit you out, and you can get lost in the sauce and the nightlife.
Everybody has this romanticized version of Nairobi, but I also know that it has its dark side.
If you can survive in Nairobi, man, you can survive anywhere.
There are so many challenging factors to Nairobi. I think that's part of what also makes the art so strong.
Being an artist in this city, actually in Nairobi, it's tricky because like the government policies in Kenya are not there.
There's no trade organization or government body like supporting young artists.
Like the local artists and local DJs aren't getting the full royalties from the music that's played on radio.
My hope is that we kind of unite together and form some sort of a solid organization where royalties and everything can be paid out and licenses for music.
The political environment is incredibly challenging at the moment.
It's kind of like holding back on international relations. Like very many people are scared to come to Kenya.
That's why we need to change the regime. We need to change the government.
Hey, Tom.
This is Africa. Holding the creative scene back is not lack of talent or ideas. It's basically what's holding the country back. Resistance to dope ideas.
The fact that the arts were scrapped out of the education system is such a sad thing. It's not even just the funding, it's so much deeper.
I say this is new Africa.
It's part of our culture is that like you're an artist, like it's not really like a thing you aspire to be when you grow up, because like
it's hard.
It's like if you had an uncle who was an artist or whatever it is, it's like your parents.
It's a
sob story of like, and you know he just started singing and now like you know what I mean. Like it's never been like a thing that you're like, oh, I want to be a musician.
Growing up, you know, there was doctor, lawyer. You want to be a singer.
When I said I'm gonna be an artist, like I had to almost literally fight my folks. It's like I told them I was gonna be a robber. There's very few people investing in creativity. The creatives are investing in their creativity.
I think the global community and the organizations that are coming here should invest more in creative, not, oh, there's dying babies. There's dying babies in New York. There's dying babies in London. People should start coming investing in talents, you know.
From what is represented in the news, most of the time it's just, they think it's a lot of strife and fighting and corruption and starvation and all these negative things, and it's something that we really struggle with. Yes, we do have some of those things going on, but it's not the only thing that represents us.
We really have good people, amazing musicians, amazing creators.
As much as we appreciate our art, we have an artist who's dope, but we'll only really praise them and appreciate them after they've received accolades from outside, and that's when we're like, oh wow, yes, of course, this person is Kenyan. One of the reasons we've struggled with self-love and self-appreciation just as Kenyans is, of course, colonialism was such a big thing. We emerged from that feeling and knowing deeply that the outside is better.
For a long time, obviously, Africans have been suppressed in all ways possible.
In essence, Africa tried to be not Africa and try to be other places when we've got our own vibe, and I think it's now people are like, shit, this is us and we're gonna wear it on our shoulders, and people are like, shit, we wanna be like those guys in Africa now. A lot of artists that previously maybe produced a certain type of sound are now sending tracks here to get percussion recorded and getting vocals, you know, recorded because they want to come here. I think we're ready to go. You can feel it, like, you know, everyone's just like, yeah, man, where are you from? From Africa, dude.
But the most important thing I feel right now is that Africans feel that their space is respected and that it just can't be faked. It can't be faked. That goes a long way in just making us feel that we're part of the same world.
Almost impossible to understand why people here have so much natural swag.
That misconception that we'll never be as cool as Americans, or we'll never be as cool as the Brits, or we'll never be as cool as any of these people. That's now, yeah, and now it's just like, oh yeah, we're the shit. We're the shit too, and we needed to realize that.
It's gonna take a long, painful unraveling so that we can get to a point where we, one, believe that we are enough just the way we are, and then to believe that we are amazing just the way we are, and we can get to believe that whatever we create is amazing. Whatever comes forth from us is also fantastic, without it having to be compared to anything else, but just be appreciated by virtue of it being ours.
Partying and celebration is always going to be a huge part of Kenyan culture.
It's one of the best times to be a musician in Nairobi right now because everyone's eyes are on us.
I would say that right now the scene is at a point where it's just about to explode.
We know exactly what the scene wants and what the world wants. I think we just have to be consistent about it. That's all.
We'll just have to continue to put out content. I mean, you can't stop the content coming out of Kenya right now.
Nairobi is a place that shows you can have the biggest dreams and it's possible to achieve them.
If you're a Kenyan, whether you're in the diaspora, whether you are here, it's just to know that there's nothing stopping us.
Between the music, the film, the fashion, people, the food, like the culture here is just the most underrated of many here. Just come.
It's Africa's time and it's our time.
Hamjambo. Yeah, I'm proud to be a Kenyan. I'm always proud to be a Kenyan. Siwezi penda kuwa from any other country apart from Kenya. I'm proud of my country. It's only in Kenya where kuna so many tribes na bado tunaishi in unity, tunaishi na hiyo love. It's only in Kenya where utapata matatu. Yeah, so mimi ningependa tu kusema nimetoka Kenya, nimetoka Kenya, plus 244 ndo mi who stay. 125 ndo mi who stay. Nimetoka Kenya, nimetoka Kenya, plus 244 ndo mi who stay. 125 ndo mi who stay. Halo, habari, karibu to the land of chipo mwitu. Sweeti za suni na ngumu, ugali na skuma kusukuma masiku. Halo, habari, karibu.
In terms of knowing the right sound when it's ready, you didn't ask about that, and that's a good question.
To the land of the matatu, mapiko, mabike na matuk, 844 lazima kambuku.